everybody, welcome to my room. So as I think a lot of you are, I think you all are now at this point, Ireland is on lockdown now, so me and Will obviously can't do a video together. Or can we? Say hi, Will.
Hello.
Before we start, I wanted to kind of mention, because I kind of realized I haven't been talking about this. If this is your first time like on this channel and you're looking for Horror Nights rumors, I'm gonna link in the cards up here right now the very first video we did, because this is kind of a series. So just so you know, if you found this video accidentally, click up here and go to the first video because you've missed a lot. In this video, we'll be talking about a lot of rumors and speculation. And in this video especially, there might be a lot of actual things that may possibly be coming to HHN30 this year. So if you're sort of have been watching up till this point and you kind of want to just wait until they start announcing things now, maybe don't watch this video. But as for that, I'm going to just continue on now. So I'm going to start from the start. And I'm going to start with some good news. And that is about the last video we kind of talked about how this whole coronavirus thing might affect HHN and all this kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about a little bit of good news about that. And I'm sure at this point, most of you have probably seen this, but maybe some of you haven't. I know I'm new to Twitter, so I don't know if you guys are as well. But anyway, Patrick Braillard, who is one of the creative people behind Horror Nights, tweeted out the other day, and this was the tweet he tweeted out. It was in response to somebody commenting that HHN mightn't happen this year, and this is what he wrote. I'm gonna read it out from my little notebook. So it goes, we are working remotely, yes. Physically distant, yeah, but working and creating nightmares nonetheless. Hashtag HHN30 is still powering forward, and until we hear otherwise, that is exactly what we will continue to do. We are hungry to present what we have in store. So basically from that, I'm taking it that until I'm gonna carry on as if Horror Nights is happening this year. I think that's all I kind of needed to hear. I know there's still a lot of stuff that is up in the air at the moment, but if they're still working on it, I'm just gonna carry on as if it's happening. So yay! What do you think about that, Will?
Yay, good news. Yeah, I think that's the best way to treat it. Until we officially, legitimately hear otherwise, we should just keep planning to go. So treat it like it's still happening, because for all we know, it is still happening.
Then the next thing, okay, let's talk about this last legacy clue. It got solved anyway. It was the Perry the Platypus clue. Do you remember this, Will?
Yeah, this lad's riddles are really frustrating, and I don't even want to attempt them.
I know Will loves these legacy clues, so anyway. Will, I want to hear what you think of this one. So are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Hit me with it.
Okay, alright. So, Perry the Platypus, he wanted us to figure out that we needed to go onto IMDb, and if you type in platypus to IMDb, you eventually come up with this thing that's Platypus the Musical, whatever. Then there's a guy in it called Trent Ford who played Mr. MXYZPTIK in Smallville. I don't know how on earth to pronounce that, guys. Then that character was played by Howie Mandel in Lois and Clark. And then Howie Mandel, are you ready for this, Will? Howie Mandel is the voice of Gizmo. Therefore, the answer is Gremlins. Thoughts?
Gremlins? My honest response was yes! So I have two thoughts on this. Firstly, how is anyone supposed to come even remotely close to guessing that from a picture of a platypus? It's impossible. And secondly, yes, Gremlins, I'm into it. I'm so into it. I think it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was probably quite a good reaction from Will, because I know that was, if you guys didn't know, I'll link it up here. That was one of Will's dream houses that he wanted to see. So I'll put that link to that video up there. So yay, Gremlins! Which is kind of crazy because I never thought that would happen. I think a lot of people thought that. And I know there's a lot of people that are kind of oh, it's not going to be scary, or it's kind of a weird one to pick. But whatever, guys, whatever. I think it'll be fun. I think there's a lot of things they can do with it. And like I said, they've done things with properties before that I didn't even think they could do. I didn't know what they were going to do with Ghostbusters, and they made that work. So yeah. What do you think, Will?
So I know it's not confirmed or anything, but I would really love if Gremlins was there. The more I think about it, the more I get into it. Again, just because it's one of those movies where everything was practical effects. So when you translate that into a house, that's just going to be really good because they'll just use the same practical effects.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about now is Legacy has now broken down with all the clues that we've had since the start of this video series, he's broken down sort of what he thinks is still happening, what he's certain is happening but with changes, what he's not confident is happening, yes or no, like he's not confident it is happening or that it's not, and also he's confident that it's not happening. So 4 categories, if that made sense. So let me just read it out. So the things Legacy is confident that are still happening are Hill House, Bride of Frankenstein, and Gremlins. So he seems to think that Gremlins is definitely happening. He's confident that it's happening but with changes is Beetlejuice. So we were going to get a Beetlejuice scare zone, that's what he thought, but we might be getting something else now, and like a show or a house maybe. Billie Eilish, he thinks is still happening, but maybe instead of the Lagoon show we might get a house or like a scare zone. And he's certain is happening still is The Legendary Truth, but with changes. I don't know what they would be. Or do we? We'll go on to that in a minute. Then not confident in either direction is the Cafe La Bamba house, which to be perfectly honest, I think that's not going to happen. Just with the way things are, I don't think an 11th house is going to be on the cards this year. And also Jack the Clown not being any kind of icon, which is interesting. I think I'd be disappointed if Jack didn't come, but at the same time I don't think I'd be surprised at this stage. And then confident that it's definitely not happening was Doctor Who, which was apparently a red herring in the first place, which I didn't realise, so sorry about that. Also The Conjuring. I don't even know about The Conjuring. Like, that seems to pop up every year, and I don't know how it could possibly happen. Like, hopefully it can happen in the future, but it's Warner Brothers, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And then Chucky House, he doesn't think is happening. And then this was quite a shocking one. He doesn't think Candyman is happening, because if you remember in the first video, like a couple of months ago, we were all convinced that Candyman was definitely going to be a house. So that may not be happening now. So Will, what are your thoughts on that?
Just moving on to the Billie Eilish thing. Billie Eilish isn't scary. Like, is there some weird horror thing that we don't know about with Billie Eilish? If there was like a scare zone about Billie Eilish, would it just be a bunch of Billie Eilish impersonators running around chasing people? I don't understand at all. And then I know this guy's really in the loop with all the things that are happening behind the scenes and everything apparently, but I still think Candyman should be pretty likely. It would line up, like, just because it was an older movie that people have a lot of nostalgia about, and it's also getting remade, so it seems like it would be the perfect time to do a house about Candyman. So yeah, I think it's still going to happen. If it was me, I think it would still be happening.
Okay, so let's keep going. So Legacy does have 2 new clues. He accidentally, I think, put 2 clues down instead of 1. But anyway, so the first clue is a picture of a black Hyundai Equus from 2016. And people seem to be taking the word Equus from it. And I actually had a little go at this. I didn't actually put it on Inside Universal because I'm pretty sure this is wrong. But my idea was Equus, there was like Daniel Radcliffe was in a version of that. And he was also in Woman in Black, and the Hyundai as a black car, so I figured it would be Woman in Black. And then the other clue is a picture of Darkwing Duck, but drawn as like a real duck. So he said that one was really hard, and that the Hyundai one would be a bit easier, but I don't know, apart from Woman in Black, I don't really have any guesses about that. Do you have any ideas of those clues, Will?
No.
Okay, and then the other thing I want to kind of talk about before we get into the other speculation thing that we need to talk about is one of the Ifrit clues that came out in the last week. So let me read this to you. Are you ready, Will?
Yes, okay. Ifrit is someone who knows how to do a riddle, because they're fun, they rhyme, they're not difficult, so I'm way more into these ones. So yeah, tell me the riddle. Hit me with it. Hit me.
Tucked in bed nice and tight, a story told full of fright. In a bed hard as nail, weight above, rope so frail. Then rumours speak for us to show, now's the time to let it go. What do you think, Will?
I think it's Frozen. 100% it's Frozen. Done. Next one.
Okay, so basically what people are thinking this is the storyteller icon. She came in the same year as Terror Queen, and I believe she was related to her somehow, related to her story somehow. She came in 2016, and she was involved in the Dungeon of Terror Retold house. So basically, the reason people think that it's her is because in the commercial for her that year, Halloween Horror Nights 15, her commercial was she was sitting in a chair, like reading a story to someone, and then they look over and it's a guy in a bed, and then she takes the blanket off him and he's on a bed of nails, and then there's a rope with like an anvil above him, and she chops it and then it falls down on him. So obviously that's probably what it is. So Storyteller could be coming back to Horror Nights this year, which she's not exactly everybody's favorite icon, but like this is making it look like that we're going to get a good few icons this year. So yeah, also Dungeon of Terror looks like it might be possible now. So that would be good. Will, what do you think about that?
No, I think it's Frozen because of the song. It's Frozen. The only thing I remember about that one is that I think you mentioned before there was like this rat lady who's this woman in like a perspex box, but there's like live rats all over her. That sounds awesome. I'm into it. I'm into it.
All right, so before we go on to the next thing I want to talk about, I just want to discuss one or two things. There's a rumor going around that Creepshow has been cut, or yeah, that it's not happening anymore. Like again, I find all this stuff out by just trolling the internet. I don't know where this came from, but people are thinking Creepshow might have been cut, and also because of the situation that the world is in at the moment. Another thing people are talking about is that there'll be no stuff in face this year, you know, like the bits that kind of hang down. They're thinking that might not happen because obviously the people will be touching that, as well as like curtains separating rooms, and also like guest activated triggers. So like, you know, when you can press a button and then something happens to someone behind you or something, they're thinking that that might not happen this year, which I mean, I guess it makes sense. Right, so with all that being said, I think you probably all know about this at this point, but the HHN Nightmares speculation map has been dropped. For those of you that don't know, these guys drop a speculation map every year, and it's pretty much bang on every single time. Like last year, they had every single house exactly right except for us, which up until the last minute apparently that was going to be something called Tooth Fairy, which they had in their map. But so that was a last minute change. So this year's speculation map has dropped. So we're gonna talk about it. Let's just go through it. So I'll put a picture of it up on the bottom here somewhere, or over here or something. Alright, for those of you that haven't seen it, get ready. Okay, so first house, which would have been in the Ghostbusters stage, is Beetlejuice as a house. Will, what are your thoughts on that?
Yay, Beetlejuice.
Okay, so then the next house, this is all speculation by the way, but I don't know. The next house is Universal Monsters The Bride. So that's one that Legacy obviously talked about as well. So that's looking like it's going to be where us was, or where Yeti was last year. At least that's what they have on the map. So I don't know if that's right, but like I said, these guys have a pretty good track record. The next thing is called Bedtime Stories, which is going to be like a original house, which some people have said that could be the Tooth Fairy house. I'm not 100% on that. Or it could be a storyteller house, I'm not really sure, but anyway, they have that there. Then they have a Terra Correntis house, which is going to be the Terra Queen house, which would be really cool. So I don't know what that would look like. I guess it'd be like body collectors and everything in it, which would be really cool. Like, I'm pumped for this. Okay, and then the next one then is a Billie Eilish house, which, whatever. I mean, it's not my thing, but, and I know it possibly isn't a lot of your things either, but I mean, whatever. It could be really good. Like, it could just be a house, an original house that Universal have created, and there's Billie Eilish music in it. Like, I think that's probably what's going to happen. And I think that would be really good. Will, what do you think about any of these?
So if Bedtime Stories is anything like the Twisted Fairy Tales house from, I don't think it was last year, I think it was the year before, the first year I went, if it's anything like that, I am all the way in. I am super into it. Because that was awesome. Then the Terra Queen thing, that everything I've heard from that sounds really interesting, really in-depth and interesting. So yeah, sure, yeah, I'm into it. Let's do it. And yeah, Billie Eilish again. Is there some kind of like a horror theme or like scary aspect to Billie Eilish's music videos or something? I think maybe we need to sit down and just watch a bunch of Billie Eilish music videos just to prepare for this. Maybe we need to temporarily become really big Billie Eilish fans.
Then, by the way, guys, if you've seen the video from last week, you'll know that this was one of my dream houses, and it's in the same stage, or at least it's speculated to be in the same stage that I picked, is Dungeon of Terror, which would make sense because if Storyteller is coming back, like I said, she was involved in the Dungeon of Terror, like, retold house, so, like, I'm obviously pumped for that one. Will, what do you think?
Sure, that's all I got.
So here's where it gets interesting. We're down now where this is the parade building and one of the tents, isn't it? Yeah. Now again, this might not be accurate, but it's looking like they put Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and Haunting of Hill House on this map. So they are both two really big Netflix properties that I'm actually shocked that they're both on here, because I figured we'd get one or the other. I didn't think it made sense for us to have both of them, because that seems like a bit of a waste, if you know what I mean. Like, it's like, anyway, they're on here, Sabrina and Haunting of Hill House. Haunting of Hill House looks like it's in the Parade building, which, by the way, the permit for the Parade building was like, is active now. So like, they've started work on the Parade building, which is also good news. But it's also, these are also two big properties that are at the back of the park, which is interesting because usually, obviously, the big properties are always at the front. So that's where everybody goes to. So I think if this is real, or if this ends up happening, this is good, because I think it's good to split up the big properties rather than having them all at the top of the park, and then coming down. But then also having the Sabrina, yeah, I don't know. And like, I would be really excited about this, okay? I really love both of those shows. I know a lot of people aren't really excited about this, but I don't know. I think it would be good. Will, what do you think? I know you haven't seen either of those, but like, what do you think of that?
I think I'm gonna need to watch these before the event. Like, out of the two, as it stands right now, I think I'll probably be more into a Sabrina house, just because that seems like more cool practical effects, rather than the other one where it's more of, from what I get, the impression I get, it's more about like a scary ambience, like you're supposed to still be creeped out after watching it kind of thing, where I want to see cool things. So I think Sabrina is what I would prefer out of those two.
And then the next one is another original, which is Legendary Truth, Cary, Ohio. And for those of you that don't know, Cary, Ohio is where all of like Horror Nights lore kind of comes from. It's where one of the creative directors was from, and they just decided to start using it, I think, one day. But this would look like it would be a anniversary house of some kind, which could have like everything like psychotherapy and everything in it, which would be really cool. So I'd be up for that. And then the last one, which is on the speculation map, Will, is Gremlins in the Shrek stage. So what do you think of that, Will?
Yes, Gremlins. I'm still into Gremlins. Still on the Gremlins bus from earlier.
Anyway, that is the speculation map. Now, I was looking this up. So they dropped it there a couple of days ago, like, so it's the end of March now. And I was looking back, and the map they dropped for last year, which was really accurate, was in May. Now, it was the start of May, but we're still a month out. So a lot of things can change in a month. And then the one for 28, I think, dropped in June. So, I mean, it's pretty early for them to be putting the speculation map out there. I don't know if they did it because we're probably not going to get an announcement anytime soon, because obviously the park's closed. And I'm thinking it'll probably be fairly quiet until June. So maybe they just thought they'd put it out there to give people a bit of something to talk about, which I mean is good. But I do think, usually I would say this map would be pretty accurate, but I'm thinking maybe this year not so much, because also another rumor I found, guys, this video, I'm sorry, it's so long, Will. Someone else has, again, looked on the internet and found these things on Inside Universal. Somebody seems to think that they think Sabrina might not be happening at all, that was never really on the cards. They're also not sure that, okay, Legacy is sure that Gremlins is coming, but now we're hearing that maybe Gremlins might not be coming. Like, you know what I mean? There's still so much chatter. You know, there's still so much that could change. So I think it's too early to be thinking that this map is like 100%. I think there's maybe a few things on here that we could probably say, yeah, pretty likely at this point. But at the same time, we really don't know, because all the stuff we're discussing is just rumor based. Like, you know, I don't know. And then there's also that Billie Eilish might actually still do the Lagoon show. That's another rumor that's came out. Like, literally, guys, this all happened in the last few days. I've been like, every time I go onto Twitter, I'm like, oh my god, there's so much to talk about. And then, so then on top of all that, Ifrit dropped another riddle that was basically saying, don't believe everything you hear. And this is the riddle. Okay, oh my god, this is such a long video. I'm gonna read the riddle. It says, a list appears, it's quickly consumed. The veracity, simply assumed. The ripples form, everyone acts, instead of waiting for the facts. We always move with such haste. It really is such a waste. A look at history is urged. A scream can easily be purged. Which he's obviously referencing whatever year it was. They had Scream was like definitely happening, and it was in the ad campaign, like the guy with the Scream mask, and then it was cut at the very last minute because of rights or something, and it got turned into The Purge. So he's obviously talking about that. Like, things can change so quickly. But at the same time, these guys seem to know things. So, I mean, we'll just have to see at this point, will we? I mean, There's just so much up in the air with everything at the moment. Will, what do you think about all that?
But sorry, I got really distracted because this video is so long.
Also, one more thing. Let me just see if I've got everything covered here. There's one more Ifrit clue. So he dropped 3 riddles this week. This was really just like a random riddle that he put out there, but it's construction and work still go on. Fear we harbour for now is none. We'll do our best to entertain. The status quo we must maintain. These rumours still are not sure. Uncertainty, its own lure. The praise will come when it's time. Highlight those who guessed our rhyme. So, I mean, that's good news. Apparently they're still doing construction in Universal, which obviously with the permit dropping this week, that's obviously still happening. So that's super good news. But yeah, so sorry, this is like a really long video, but I think I covered everything. There's just so much happened. Oh, everything's just so mad at the moment. I've been in my house for 3 weeks. I've gone, which by the way, yes, I did do my hair just to sit in my room and talk to you guys because I ain't going on the internet looking like crap. So going forward, we were wondering if you guys had any ideas of what kind of videos you might like to see from us in the next while, because I don't know how much is going to be happening between now and when the parks open back up. I mean, obviously, if there's rumours to talk about in 2 weeks, I will be on here and we'll be talking about them. But just in case there's not, if you guys have any videos that you might want to see from us, leave them down in the comments. Also, let me know all your thoughts about everything down in the comments, because I know this was a lot. And then also another thing I wanted to talk about was something that you guys maybe, you know, we're on lockdown. If you guys, especially I know some people are new to Horror Nights, they might have only gone last year, or some people I think have told me they haven't even gone before. There's a YouTube channel that I recommend which is called Expedition Theme Park, and they did a whole expedition series on Horror Nights and the history of Horror Nights, and it's really good. It's the best one I've seen, to be honest. So I'm gonna link that in the cards up here along with a few other things. So I really recommend watching that. It's really, really good. It's really it really goes through all of the history. And also then if you're into reading, that series is actually based on a book by a guy called Christopher Ripley, who wrote a whole book on the history of Horror Nights. That's on Amazon. So they're just a couple of things that maybe you might want to watch, since we're not going to be doing much for the next while. But yeah, so anything to add, Will?
Nope. I think that's it.
So listen, I hope you guys are doing okay. Yeah, let me know what you think about everything. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, leave any comments down below if you want to like talk to us about anything, whatever. Let's have a discussion. So yeah, so it's bye from me. And Will, you say bye here.
Bye. This was weird.
So thanks everybody, and see you in the next one.